Welcome to the deep dive. This deep dive is really tailor-made for you. You've tasked us with something massive, synthesizing the strategic landscape captured within the entire agenda for Fortune Brainstorm AI San Francisco 2025.
Right.
And this isn't just about giving you a simple list of who's speaking. The goal here is, I think, much more ambitious.
Our mission is to transform you from a well-informed attendee into an insight generator.
Exactly.
When you walk into that conference, we want you to be ready to spot the novel intersections, anticipate the strategic implications, and generate takeaways that are truly ahead of the curve for your audience.
We're looking past the individual session titles to find those strategic common threads.
The threads that weave together this vast tapestry of AI adoption.
Yeah.
I mean, from how it affects your mental health all the way to how it controls global defense systems.
It's a huge range. The sheer breadth is astounding. We're bridging the gap between, say, Joseph Gordon-Levitt discussing creative compensation and Calvin Butler discussing the electrical grid.
And that's where the real insights are, at those intersections.
To make sense of it all, we've organized the analysis thematically. We're going to start with the most personal element, the human impact on art, wellness, and the new workforce. From there, we'll move quickly into the complex terrain of enterprise strategy, investment risk, and scaling. Then we tackle the concrete challenge of infrastructure, the power wall, and physical intelligence, before wrapping up with governance, competition, and those critical geopolitical shifts.
Understanding these shifts is just so crucial because the biggest insights often live at the intersection of two sessions that, on the surface, look completely unrelated. We need to dig into both the tactical details and the macro-level implications.
Okay, so let's begin with the creative sector, which truly feels like ground zero for AI disruption. We're starting with the session, The Artist and the Algorithm, featuring Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Right, the actor, filmmaker, and founder of Hydercourt.
And he has famously framed Hollywood as the canary in the coal mine for AI disruption.
And that phrasing is the critical connection point. You have to ask, why is Hollywood the canary?
Because it's all about IP.
Exactly. It's because their product intellectual property, likeness, voice-generated content is the direct input used to train the machine. The conflict over compensation and control that, screenwriters and actors face is a very visible, high-stakes battle.
And that's a battle that's quietly playing out in every other industry.
Every single one. Whether it's software engineering, architecture, graphic design, their fight immediately clarifies the abstract issue of IP and training data for everyone else.
The core conflict he's addressing is that fundamental fairness issue, right? The call for adequate compensation when established human creativity is just sort of ingested to train these intelligent systems. But what makes his perspective particularly rich is that he's not just a traditional creative fighting against the tide, he's actually directing a new AI-focused thriller for Netflix.
So he's in the middle of it.
He is literally making art about the disruption while simultaneously running a platform that is adapting to collaborative digital creation.
That dual role is a powerful source of insight. He understands authorship and originality from the inside, but he also, he recognizes the business pressures.
So if you want to dive deep into this topic, you have to look beyond just the compensation part.
You have to. And you have to consider the generational shift. Gordon-Levitt, in a way, represents the established guard, but the conference also spotlights the emerging creators.
And that emerging perspective, I believe, is captured in the Future Makers session with Zara Naki, the founder and CEO of Lore.
Correct. Naki discusses how Gen Z founders are approaching AI not as a threat, but as a foundational building block.
It's just part of the toolkit for them.
It's just there. They're blending research, storytelling, and design to fundamentally reshape how machines perceive reality and, critically, how humans connect and share meaning. For them, AI is simply essential for rapid iteration and for scaling.
That really does highlight a fundamental split, doesn't it? It's the difference between fighting to preserve the old economic model and embracing a future where the cost of production gets closer and closer to zero.
It's the difference between scarcity and abundance. And you see this so vividly played out in the session, The Human in the Loop, with Natasha Lyonne.
Co-founder of Asteria Film Co.
Right. Her argument centers on democratizing the ability to create ambitious films. AI tools allow her to achieve these high production values, visually rich, complex scenes, but on independent budgets.
So the machine, in her view, is actually a financial engine.
It's a financial engine that liberates artistic integrity. It removes the reliance on massive studio funding that was previously necessary for that level of ambition.
So if we synthesize these two viewpoints, Gordon Levitt fighting for the value of the input data and Leon using the output to gain independence, the strategic implication for you, for the audience, is this. Is the future of AI and creativity primarily about cost reduction and production velocity?
Or does it fundamentally redefine what originality even means? The answer appears to be, well, both. And that's creating immense tension in the marketplace.
Okay, so moving from that creative stress to the ubiquitous digital stress we all feel, we often assume AI is solely about optimizing external processes, business, logistics, code.
Sure.
But the session, Calm in the Chaos, with David Koh, the CEO of Calm, looks inward. This is a wonderfully counterintuitive application of AI.
It is the ultimate paradox. I mean, we built machine learning to create efficiency and free up human time, yet we are all more overwhelmed than ever.
Drowning in notifications.
Drowning in notifications, back-to-back meetings, and just the sheer velocity of digital life. Coe's core point is about leveraging intelligent technology to address the human toll of the digital revolution we created.
We've all experienced this, haven't we? The moment you realize your supposed efficiency tools have just generated 10 more hours of work for you.
Oh, absolutely.
So how does Calm use AI to solve the chaos that tech itself so often creates?
It focuses on a thoughtful, what they call a human-centric approach. This means using AI not for like general content generation, but specifically to enhance digital mental wellness tools.
You personalize them.
To personalize meditation, track stress triggers, and provide hyper-relevant feedback. The executive audience, the people driving this high-speed adoption, are precisely the people who need help sleeping better and leading with intention.
Right. If you're burned out, your whole organization is going to reflect that chaos.
Exactly.
And the agenda details noted that his session closes with an AI-guided meditation. That's a compelling detail.
It really is. It's the ultimate demonstration of integrating the intelligent layer into the most intimate personal aspects of our existence. It sort of proves that AI can mitigate the digital stress it helps cause.
Right. Let's shift to organizational structure. The conference tackles a critical structural dilemma directly during the lunch roundtable. Is AI killing entry-level jobs?
Yeah.
With Mahe Beredi of Phenom.
This discussion is just foundational for anyone planning a future career path.
Entry-level jobs, traditionally, they were the apprenticeship model, right? They were the training wheels of a career, data entry, basic coding review, rudimentary customer support.
They taught you how to work?
They taught people structure, responsibility, foundational skills. If AI automates everything that can be easily taught, replicated, and codified, where do people build those starting skills?
That is the core social and economic problem. I mean, if the traditional bottom rung of the ladder just disappears, how do people even begin to climb?
So what's Beredi's focus?
His focus is not just on the elimination of jobs, but on identifying where new opportunities are emerging. And these opportunities require unique, broad skill sets that machines can't replicate.
Things like critical judgment, complex collaboration.
Strategic foresight, multidisciplinary problem solving, all the human stuff.
But doesn't focusing only on complex adaptive skills risk creating a huge unbridgeable economic gap? I mean, for those who lack access to advanced training or educational resources, if the barrier to entry shifts from basic competence to advanced adaptive intelligence, that has huge societal implications.
It absolutely does. And the strategic implication for you, the listener, is that organizations must fundamentally rethink training and recruitment. The emphasis has to shift from checking boxes on a college degree to demonstrating adaptable, multidisciplinary experience.
So the conversation isn't just about what AI automates.
No, it's about how society adapts to train for roles that are inherently human-centric.
And this structural upheaval goes right up the chain of command. The session when AI is your coworker and your manager, with Stefano Carrazza, who's head of AI research at Canva, speaks to the shrinking middle layer of management.
Right. We are seeing the disappearance of the traditional middle manager, the person who was responsible for day-to-day supervision and, basic workflow assignment.
Because AI can do that now.
If AI is providing real-time advice, coaching, and supporting employees on workflows, the necessity of that oversight layer just diminishes rapidly.
So the manager's role shifts from a supervisor to something much more abstract.
Precisely. The manager of the future needs to focus on inspiration, vision, navigating ambiguity, and designing an organization where empowerment, not supervision, drives performance. They're focused on culture, and strategy.
So the strategic insight here is that for middle managers to survive this transformation, they have to shift their focus.
From task assignment to value creation through vision and team design, they have to manage the intelligent system, not just the human workflow.
Okay, now that we've established the human context, the anxiety, the compensation fight, the changing job structure, let's move into the hard business reality. The investment landscape, corporate strategy, and the mechanics of deployment.
The money side.
We have to anchor this AI boom in financial reality, which is often done with a healthy dose of skepticism. And Kathy Go, a partner at Sapphire Ventures, provides that skepticism in Don't Burst My Bubble. The AI and SaaS sectors have seen truly astronomical revenue and valuation numbers. Her central question is blunt. How much of this perceived value is real, and are we in an AI bubble?
The skepticism is absolutely warranted, and her analysis goes beyond just asking if it's a bubble. It addresses how to prepare for when the market corrects.
So what are VCs looking for? What are the red flags?
Well, they aren't just looking at revenue growth anymore. They are scrutinizing the cost structure of inference and training. If a startup requires millions in constant GPU time just to maintain its marginal value, that's a huge red flag.
So what metrics can be trusted in the AI space? Because traditional SaaS metrics like annual recurring revenue seem almost meaningless when the core technology is changing every 6 months.
The focus has shifted profoundly toward data proprietariness and having a distribution moat.
Okay, break that down.
Can the product only exist because of a unique, irreplaceable data set? That's value. Can the company distribute its service cheaper and faster than anyone else because of an optimized architecture? That's a moat. Gao will be predicting what foundational companies will survive the bursting of this bubble.
And those will be the ones who control the data and the distribution.
Not necessarily the ones with the flashiest front end. The strategic insight here is that proprietary data is the new oil, and the defensibility of that data is really the only true anchor for valuation.
And speaking of proprietary data, that leads perfectly into the discussion with Ali Ghodsi, the CEO of Databricks, and Liz Santoni of Cisco in the $100 billion data question.
This is where we understand the true source of that massive valuation Databricks commands. Their ascent isn't just about selling software. It's about solving the urgent enterprise challenge of data unification and governance, the lakehouse architecture.
Right, because enterprises are drowning in information.
They're drowning, but they cannot reliably turn that information into insight or original growth. Ghodsi is discussing how to structure data platforms so that they cultivate originality in the output.
What do you mean by originality?
Since machines can generate volume, almost infinite volume, the remaining high-value currency is meaning the insight you can derive from clean, contextually sound, proprietary data.
It sounds like the value isn't just in processing speed, but in data quality and the ability to derive unique, meaningful business decisions from it.
Exactly. And that data quality ties directly back into one of the most important but overlooked strategic discussions at the conference, one that addresses the prerequisites for successful AI adoption.
Before we talk about implementation, let's address the operational nightmare of transforming a massive corporation. Mark Hamilton from NVIDIA and Ali K. Miller, a Fortune 500 AI consultant, are tackling this practical struggle.
Right.
And I love Hamilton's framing. Adding AI to the enterprise often feels like reassembling a plane mid-flight.
That analogy just perfectly captures the strategic balance. Corporate chiefs have to manage massive, risky structural change, implementing new AI workflows, retraining thousands of employees, changing their data infrastructure.
All while maintaining the operational quality and stability that customers and investors rely on. If the plane crashes, the transformation is meaningless.
It's all for nothing.
Yeah.
And a key part of that decision is proprietary value. What do they keep in-house versus what do they offload to the cloud or open source?
That decision determines future competitiveness.
It does. What part of the stack, the foundational models, the training data, the deployment environment, is so integral to their competitive advantage that it warrants the massive cost of keeping it proprietary.
And Ali K. Miller, coming from the consulting side, she brings the urgent cross-industry insights on how to balance that risk.
And how to scale AI sustainably and implement the necessary governance frameworks to protect that operational quality while they are flying.
This strategic challenge of transformation is fundamentally intertwined with organizational efficiency. And this is where we have to integrate the strategic insight from Dennis Woodside, CEO of Freshworks, who is leading the session, Death to Complexity.
Yes.
We've all seen the negative impact of complexity on workflow and costs. But how is complexity now the single biggest blocker for AI adoption?
This is the critical missing link in most enterprise AI discussions. Woodside's argument is that killing organizational complexity is the ultimate competitive differentiator in the intelligent age.
Explain that.
AI is a tool of optimization and streamlining. If your organization is just riddled with redundant processes, legacy systems, fragmented data, and bureaucratic approval chains, AI integration becomes exponentially harder and more expensive.
You're asking an intelligent system to automate a chaotic process.
Which guarantees chaotic results, exactly.
So the ability to adopt AI quickly and profitably is actually determined by how successful the CEO has been in simplifying the existing business structure. AI readiness isn't just technical, it's operational and cultural simplification.
Precisely. And if you connect this back to Thomas Kurian, the CEO of Google Cloud, he's discussing leading the enterprise AI revolution. And he's focused on moving from proof of concept, or POC, to proof of profit.
POPA.
Right. Woodside's argument explains why the POC stage is so easy and the POP stage is so hard. Complexity prevents profit realization.
So what does that leap from POC to POP look like on the ground? It's the difference between a cool lab project and a massive business transformation.
It requires changing the entire internal KPI structure. Kurian will detail how organizations build foundational AI platforms, blending intelligent agents, multi-cloud ecosystems, and infrastructure that actually yield measurable ROI.
And there's a real-world case study on this.
Yes, in the Reinventing the Enterprise session, detailing Telstra's AI-first ambitions, driven jointly by the telecom company and Accenture's Arnab Chakraborty. They're sharing the lessons on how to deploy this technology to a massive customer base while managing the internal complexity that Woodside warns against.
Okay, let's drill down into the tactical decision-making, which dictates speed, cost, and agility. Dow Kiela, co-founder and CEO of Contextual AI, addresses this in From Rag to Riches. This is a fundamental strategy session for technical leaders.
This session tackles the core decision points. When an enterprise wants to leverage its proprietary data using a large language model, they usually face two paths: fine-tuning or retrieval-augmented generation, known as a RAG.
For our listener who might be familiar with the terms but needs the strategic context, what's the essential difference in terms of business trade-offs?
Okay, so fine-tuning is essentially teaching the base model, like a GPT or Llama New material, by retraining it on your proprietary documents. It's costly, it's time-consuming, requires massive compute, and anytime your data changes, you have to repeat the process.
It's like sending your model back to school for a specialized degree.
That's a great way to put it. The resulting model is highly accurate in its domain, but it's very slow to update.
And RAG, that seems to be the preferred method for agility right now.
RGAG is an entirely different approach. Instead of retraining the model, you equip it with a massive, searchable index of your proprietary knowledge. Your company documents, internal policies, recent sales data.
So when a user asks a question,
the RGAG system first retrieves the relevant documents from that index, and then the LLM uses that retrieved text as context to generate an answer. It's like giving the model a massive library and telling it, look up the answer, then synthesize it.
The strategic benefit there is speed and cost then. The base model stays the same, and you only have to update the searchable index.
Exactly. You avoid that expensive retraining loop. This makes RGAG far faster, cheaper, and more agile for enterprises where data is changing daily. Kiela's session will focus on these critical decision points, but it all comes back to a single imperative: data quality.
Right. How good does the organization's data have to be? If you have messy data, does RGAG or fine-tuning save you?
Neither does. A RAG system built on poorly structured, duplicative, or siloed data will just retrieve conflicting or irrelevant information.
Garbage in, garbage out.
The classic problem. The strategic insight for you to take away is that RAG is a powerful technique, but it magnifies the need for pristine data hygiene. If you are going to invest in deployment, you must first invest in the data cleanup and unification that Kagazi was just discussing at Databricks.
Okay, we've covered the strategic, financial, and tactical software decisions. Let's pivot to the concrete reality of physics and power. This is the hidden bottleneck of the AI revolution, and the conference dedicates significant time to it.
It's a huge one. And we begin with the battle for compute, which dictates whether AI lives in the cloud or on a device. Mekul Duggal, the group general manager at Qualcomm, is leading Let's Get Physical.
And Qualcomm is aggressively challenging established rivals like NVIDIA and AMD in the AI chip space.
Especially for physical systems. The focus here is the move of intelligence off the massive data centers and into devices, the so-called edge. We're talking about robots that can reason and cars that can cogitate.
This isn't just a technical preference, is it? It's a necessity.
It's a necessity driven by speed and power. Autonomous systems in a self-driving car or a robotic arm cannot wait for a round trip to a distant data center to make a critical decision. They need localized, low-latency intelligence.
So Qualcomm's strategic angle is that specialized, highly energy-efficient processing.
Exactly, enabling real-time decision-making in the physical world.
But the reliance on data centers isn't going away, and that leads directly to the massive problem of energy supply. Calvin Butler, president and CEO of Exelon, addresses this crisis in, Scotty, we need more power.
And this is the power wall. The growth of data centers is exponential, and they require immense constant energy supply. This puts incredible stress on the existing electrical grid and infrastructure, which was, built for a different century.
The grid just wasn't designed for this.
It wasn't designed to support the density and volume of power necessary for modern AI training clusters.
So this is where the business conversation becomes geopolitical and logistical. It's forcing these unprecedented partnerships. Tech giants are now partnering directly with utility companies.
Absolutely. The core strategic question for the next 5 years is, will utility companies like Exelon and their massive investment partners be able to upgrade the grid fast enough to meet demand?
And if they can't?
If capacity lags, we will see price spikes, throttled innovation, and regional competition for electricity. The biggest bottleneck to the AI future might not be the scarcity of GPU chips, but the scarcity of reliable, affordable electricity.
That's a fundamentally novel thought leadership angle for the listener to take away.
It is.
That surging demand is also completely reshaping global geography. Ben Briverman, co-founder of Saga Ventures, discusses the new geography of data centers.
Investors are now racing globally to construct next-generation data centers, looking way beyond traditional tech hubs. But the decision involves far more than just finding empty land.
Yeah, what's involved?
Braverman highlights the complexity of capital allocation, navigating complex regulatory approval processes, and dealing with the geopolitics of energy sources and land acquisition. Where intelligence is physically located is a massive strategic play.
And this connects to Michael Intrater at CoreWeave.
Perfectly. CoreWeave and their anticipated 2025 IPO. They represent the pivot of the cloud landscape towards specialized, GPU-heavy, AI-first infrastructure, directly responding to the demands that Butler is talking about.
As you mentioned, one way to mitigate the data center strain is pushing intelligence to the edge. Renee Haas, the CEO of ARM, speaks on within ARM's reach.
Yes, and ARM's architecture is the backbone of almost all smartphones, connected vehicles, and wearables.
ARM's position is critical because the industry needs energy-efficient compute in every device, everywhere.
Their architectural advantage allows them to capitalize on the need for localized processing. If AI is going to be truly pervasive, if it's going to run on a sensor, a smartwatch, or a car, it must consume minimal power. ARM is the quiet engine powering that entire vision of omnipresent, intelligent devices.
That pervasive intelligence is precisely what Panos Panay, SVP of Amazon Devices, discusses in Home is Where the Smart Is. We're moving beyond the simple smart home concept.
The term to focus on here is ambient AI. Historically, Alexa operated on a command and response model. You had to wake it up and tell it what to do.
Right.
Ambient AI is the strategic shift to a continuous, predictive sensing environment. The goal is to transform a constellation of connected devices, echoes, cameras, thermostats, into a system that intelligently anticipates needs and proactively manages the environment without explicit commands.
It transforms the experience from transactional to intuitive.
It's a necessary revamp for Amazon's aging virtual assistant strategy.
So it's not just that the devices are connected, it's that the system is always learning and sensing the environment. That requires immense local processing power. The edge compute we just discussed with ARM and Qualcomm.
Exactly. The intelligence lives in the moment, making decisions based on complex, continuous sensor fusion rather than relying on a cloud server 50 milliseconds away.
Okay, let's move to the physical world itself. We start with complex autonomy. Jesse Levinson, co-founder and CTO of Zoox, in Your Autonomous Ride has arrived.
Zoox is tackling one of the hardest systems to master, real-time chaotic city traffic.
And Zoox, backed by Amazon, focuses on safety engineering and proprietary edge intelligence.
To master the city street, the AI needs to handle endless variables, unpredictable pedestrians, construction, debris, complex signaling. Levinson's session is vital for understanding what fundamental perception and prediction problems in autonomy are now solved versus which ones still require breakthrough research to ensure scalability and, public trust.
And then we scale that down to smaller scale autonomy with MJ Burke-Chun of Serve Robotics in Bots on the Block. Your lunch is learning.
Right, so Serve Robotics is solving the last-mile logistics problem, autonomous delivery fleets navigating sidewalks in urban environments. It's a very specific, commercially deployed application of physical intelligence.
And what's important about their approach?
The use of sensor fusion and real-time learning to adapt to obstacles, showing a really practical deployment. The strategic implication is that we are moving rapidly from experimental labs to commercialized, revenue-generating autonomous services. The live demo reinforces the confidence in their current capabilities.
Finally, we hit the big investment goal, the pursuit of generalized intelligence for robotics. Stephanie Zahn of Sequoia Capital and Deepak Pathak of Skilled AI are discussing brains for bots. This is where the billions are flowing.
And robotics is historically a graveyard for venture capital. It's complex, slow, and requires massive initial investment. Zahn and Pathak are tasked with separating the technological transformation from the investment hype.
And the holy grail is what?
The general-purpose robot brain, a unified system that allows robots to learn and adapt across diverse tasks without being explicitly programmed for each function.
So a single robot could learn to stack boxes in a warehouse and then, without significant retraining, learn to navigate a home kitchen.
Precisely. That capability moves robotics from a niche industrial tool to a truly transformative platform. The live demo of Skilled AI's robots learning and adapting is intended to show that this is no longer just a theoretical research pursuit, but a rapidly commercializing capability that will define the next wave of physical automation.
Okay, we've established the human, the enterprise, and the physical constraints. The final piece of the puzzle is accountability, governance, and how AI changes competition itself on the global and local stage.
This is a critical piece. Rapid deployment of powerful continuous learning systems demands a completely new approach to governance. Campbell Brown, the founder and CEO of Forum AI, addresses this in The Next Phase of Governance.
And the primary risk isn't technical failure.
No, it's the systemic, societal, and regulatory risk of managing systems that are designed to learn continuously and behave unpredictably.
It seems like traditional compliance methods, which rely on static rules, can't possibly keep up with a system that is constantly evolving itself.
They absolutely cannot. Brown argues that governance and compliance have to be positioned not as overhead, but as true drivers of enterprise value.
How do you do that?
This involves building real-time metrics and oversight structures to track model drift, to surface inequities or bias in training data or outputs, and to strengthen the training pipelines dynamically.
Can you give a concrete example of what a modern governance metric might look like?
Sure. Instead of a simple compliance audit once a quarter, governance now requires continuous monitoring of decision distribution. For instance, if an AI is optimizing loan applications, the governance system has to flag if the approval rates for a specific demographic consistently deviate from the human baseline.
Or if the model's performance just starts to degrade suddenly because the real-world data it's getting has changed.
Exactly. The focus is on accountability for outcomes, not just adherence to initial rules.
This risk profile escalates dramatically when we look at national security. Tara Murphy-Durardi, CEO of Govini, addresses the extreme end of risk in Defense Disrupted.
This brings the geopolitical reality into sharp focus. National security now runs on data, autonomy, and speed. We're talking about autonomous drones, AI-enabled pilot assistance, and real-time intelligence gathering that fundamentally rewrites deterrence.
So what are the focus areas?
Doherty focuses on where AI will redefine battlefield autonomy, fastest likely in areas like surveillance, logistics, and counter-drone swarms. The core strategic insight is understanding how the rapid velocity of Silicon Valley innovation is intersecting with the strict requirements of the Pentagon, creating a new, data-driven defense context.
Okay, let's focus on one sector where governance is life or death: healthcare. Red Alden, CTO of Elsevier Health Markets, is addressing your patient has the same algorithm you do.
This explores a dramatic future scenario.
A future where patients and clinicians consult the same diagnostic AI before they even consult each other. That fundamentally transforms the role of expertise.
It creates information parity. If a patient comes in having already consulted a high-powered, widely available diagnostic model, the doctor's role shifts entirely. Expertise is no longer about information asymmetry, the doctor knowing something the patient doesn't.
So what does the doctor become?
The doctor becomes the ultimate arbiter of judgment, interpretation, and skepticism. They use their human critical thinking to interpret the machine reasoning, manage ambiguity, and provide compassionate counsel.
So the AI provides the diagnosis, the human provides the meaning and the path forward.
Exactly.
That transition from expert to interpreter is huge. Now, let's look at the city itself. Mayor Daniel Lurie of San Francisco speaks on Leading San Francisco, a Conversation.
San Francisco is the epicenter of the AI boom, but it faces acute challenges in governance, public safety, and economic recovery. Lurie will discuss the transformative role of AI in city management.
Things like optimizing traffic flow, predicting public safety incidents.
Streamlining city services for efficiency. And crucially, he'll focus on how the technology community plays a strategic role in his plan to bring investment and business confidence back to the city. The dynamic between the government regulator and the innovative industry is essential here.
We'll conclude the competitive strategy portion with a powerful example of AI driving aggressive growth. Cezanne Goodarzi, CEO of Intuit, in CTRL Alt Compete. This isn't about internal optimization, it's about stealing market share.
Intuit's corporate reboot, rebuilding TurboTax, QuickBooks, and MailChimp for an AI-first era, reportedly led to its fastest organic growth in a decade.
And Goodarzi will detail how integrating intelligent agents help the company actively capture sales from competitors.
Right. They use AI as an offensive weapon, predictive analytics, to identify vulnerable customer segments, hyper-personalized product recommendations, and automated customer lifecycle management that makes switching providers really difficult.
It's a powerful illustration of AI moving from a defensive cost-saving measure to a growth-driving competitive strategy.
A very powerful one.
Okay, that was an extensive journey. We moved from the philosophical fight over creative compensation all the way to grid stability issues and autonomous defense systems.
That was a lot.
So for you, the listener, heading into this conference, we need to distill 3 truly novel thought leadership angles derived from these strategic intersections, the insights that cut across the agenda.
Let's synthesize the most powerful connections we found.
First, the infrastructure crunch. The algorithm versus the amperage. This deep dive reveals a fundamental, pressing tension.
Right.
The technical capability exists. We have cutting-edge chips from Qualcomm and ARM to make intelligence ubiquitous and energy efficient. Yet this entire system is running directly into the growing geopolitical and utility challenge of powering the back end, as discussed by Exelon and the data center investors.
So the biggest bottleneck to the AI revolution might not be algorithmic. It might be the mundane reality of electricity, grid capacity, and the geopolitics of land acquisition. This is a strategic point of failure most attendees will probably overlook.
I think so. Okay, secondly, the death of complexity is the ultimate competitive differentiator.
This insight, strongly supported by Dennis Woodside's session, is just crucial. For massive enterprises, the ability to adopt and profit from AI is not primarily determined by the quality of the LLM they choose.
It's determined by how successful they have been at radically simplifying their existing organizational complexity, their legacy data silos, and their bureaucratic workflows.
And if you can kill that complexity, you achieve the scalability that Thomas Kurian is seeking in the proof of profit stage.
Which allows you to use AI as an aggressive, offensive, competitive tool like Intuit.
Exactly.
And finally, the dual nature of creativity, the fight for value versus the liberation of production. The conference presents a perfect conflict.
A total conflict. On one side, you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt fighting for fair compensation and the preservation of the established creative economic model.
And simultaneously, you have new independent creators like Natasha Lyonne and these Gen Z founders who see AI as a powerful, democratizing force, a financial engine that lets them bypass traditional gatekeepers and create complex, visually ambitious projects on independent budgets.
So AI is simultaneously the great existential threat and the great liberator of art. The strategic takeaway here is realizing that both viewpoints are valid and will shape different ends of the creative marketplace.
That's a great point.
And I would strongly encourage you to focus on these points of intersection as you listen. Look for the synergy. Where does the VC panel's skepticism about revenue moats intersect with the discussion of RAG and proprietary data quality?
Or how does the pursuit of a generalized robot brain intersect with the ethical governance standards required to manage unpredictable learning systems?
The space between those topics is where the truly unique shared insights live.
The entire agenda, taken together, it showcases a profound transition We are moving from viewing AI as a simple feature, a software tool we can choose to use, to AI as the primary substrate for all business, public infrastructure, and creative processes.
And that raises a profound, final, provocative thought for you to carry forward. If companies like Zoox and Serve Robotics are mastering the city street, and healthcare is moving towards shared algorithms that patients and clinicians consult alike, what does it mean for human expertise and critical judgment?
When machine reasoning becomes this ubiquitous, what remains elusive for AI to solve?
We heard Ali Ghodsi state the core business challenge is cultivating growth in an age when machines can generate almost anything except meaning. That continuous quest for meaning, for critical human judgment, and for complex, uncodified skepticism, that is the final essential bastion of human value in this new intelligent age.
Take those insights with you. You are now fully briefed. Go generate those novel takeaways and elevate the conversation.